Hey everyone, so this is another quick video on paper formatting. I think my earlier videos in SWF format might not have been very helpful, or they might have been difficult to see. Some of you have emailed me and stated that. So I wanted to do another video now that we have updated software. Hopefully you'll find this one a lot more helpful to your work. So I'm going to take my image off here, and now we're going to be looking at a Microsoft Office page. Now, when you first open Microsoft Office 2010, 2013, or 2016, as some of you may have now, you'll notice a couple things. You'll notice that if you haven't already gone in and reset the font, it'll be Calibri and 11. Also, the format for paragraph spacing, you'll have that here. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, there it is there. It actually popped up in the center of my page. But it looks something like this. I'm going to make it a little larger so you can see what it says. And you'll see this part right here that refers to the paragraph spacing. Okay, so this means every paragraph, if you left this way, every paragraph you had would have a space after it. And then they have this weird at least spacing, and sometimes it's 12 point. I've seen it other things as well. Neither of these are correct. So the other thing that you'll notice is there are no rulers here. And because there are no rulers, it is very, very difficult to do hanging indents or any of those other attributes we need to do for citation. So the first thing I always like to do before I've done anything else, and I'm sorry, I'm adjusting this so it's easier for you to see. The first thing I like to do is I like to go to View, to the tab View, and I usually like to pick Ruler. And what this does, it allows me to see the margins. You can see the margins over here, and they're 1 inch. That's standard margins. Okay, and then you can see the header, which is 1 inch as well, and that is a standard. And that'll be important in just a second. The next thing I do is I go back to home and I look at this font, and next to the word font here you have a little box. When you click that, a new window opens. Let me pull that up for you so you can see it. And there's the new window. It'll look something like this. It'll typically pop up in the center of your page. Now what you're going to have to pick is a font. Garamond is nice. You can also do Times New Roman, and then set it to 12 point. And you're going to click Set as Default, and another window will pop up that looks like that. And it'll pop up in the center of the page for you. I'm going to make it much larger so you can see it. Okay? Do you want to set this as the default font? Yes. You want to set it for all documents based on a normal template. Now you don't have to worry about those fonts anymore. It should stay the same. However, if you're working on somebody else's computer, or you're working on a school computer like over here at Lamar State College Orange, or you're working at McNeese, for example, or any campus for that matter, or public library, those computers have a tendency of rebooting, and when they reboot, all the formatting is gone. And you notice here that actually my formatting hasn't changed. Sometimes you have to go in and change it multiple times. Some computers are ornery, as my work computer is. So I just went in for the time being and changed it this one time. Now the next thing I do is I go to paragraph and I click that little box, and when I click it I get another box. Let me pull that up for you so you can see it. That looks like this. We already looked at this earlier, and I need to change this information and this information to what MLA format requires. So I'm going to change my paragraph spacing to 0. And I'm going to change my line spacing to double. And I'm going to set that as default for all documents as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and test that. See, it didn't actually save, so I have to go in and make sure it saves. Let me make sure it did that time. No, it's still not saving for some reason. So you can save it. Usually it's not a problem, and you can save it on your home computer with no issue. But for some reason, my computer is being temperamental today, probably because I'm doing this video at the same time, and so it doesn't have enough memory to save. But that's the basic idea. I'll go in one more time so it looks right when I type it. This time y'all don't have to see it. Let me see if that did it. Okay, I got it this time. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to put in my header. Now all you need for an MLA header on every page is your last name and page number. So I find this gray area in the header and I double click and it brings up header and footer tools. So you can barely see that here. Let me make the page smaller so it's easier to see. Header and footer tools. You see that green up here. And I select page number and I select top of page, plain number 3. Now you're not seeing any of this because of the window capture. Let me add the window capture so you can see it. See, that's not going to work, is it? Well, there's another way I can show you. When you click on this item here, when you click on page number, a little box pops up that says top of page. You can't see that right now, but then you click on that and it goes down to plain number 3, and it'll bring the page number up in the top right hand corner. Hit the space bar and type your last name. And now that's going to appear on every page of the document. So if we come down here, we have a second page and it counts up on its own. So you no longer have to add those manually. Now for the first page of your document, you have to add what I call introductory information. This includes your name, your teacher's name, the course you're in, which I'm just putting a course number up here. It could be any course, okay? Your number is going to be specific to your section. And then the date. Now, MLA has a very specific date format, and it's important. Inevitably, students get this wrong. So you first type the 2-digit day, then you spell out the month, spell it out completely, and then you enter the year, 4-digit year. Then you space down. Notice there's no punctuation, there's no underlining, there's no bold, everything's the same. Space down twice, and then you type your title. Now, I write that jokingly, but students have a tendency, and I saw this a lot in the interview essays, of titling their essays in the most boring way possible. Things like calling it interview essay, or essay 1, or illustration essay, which doesn't really work as a title. That's the assignment, that's not the title. So what I want you to think about when you're titling your papers is you want to give it a title that would make you want to read it. And if you're a person who's resistant to reading, then it's even more important that you title it in such a way that it's interesting, that it encourages people to read and read the essay itself. So many students just punt when it comes to titles. They don't really give good titles. And I use the example in my face-to-face classes of movie posters. Would you want to go see a movie whose poster was simply the word movie? typed in regular old everyday serif font as we have here. Most likely not. You wouldn't want to pay 15 bucks to just go see something called movie. I hope you wouldn't. So movie titles are usually quite interesting. Think of your essays as having titles that are interesting in that same way. You're going to space down, and obviously at the beginning of every paragraph you'll indent using the tab button. Now when you get to the end of your paper, since all of you will be doing research, and in this first essay every class I am teaching is doing interviews, I'm going to show you how to do an interview citation and how to create a works cited page. So the first thing you do is create the subtitle works cited at the very top. The next thing you do is enter the last name of the person you've interviewed, the first name of the person you've interviewed, period. Then you italicize and you put in personal interview if it's face-to-face. If it's email, you put in email interview. If it's phone, you can put phone interview. So any of those three are possibilities. Then you put the date the interview took place. And that's it. That's all there is to citing an interview for MLA. And then of course you have in-text citations, but those will be covered in your introductory clauses. So that's how to set up your paper for essays for this class. It's true for any of the sections you have, whether it's 1301, 1302, 101, 102, 2236. I have a number of different sections that I teach depending on the subject, but MLA works the same in every single subject. Now, if you want a reference while you are typing and you don't want to keep this video open, you have model papers and textbooks. Every handbook has a textbook, and writing our example. Every handbook has an example. And Writing Matters by Howard, the second edition, you have an example on page 337. In one of my other classes, they're using a handbook called a Writer's Resource, and that has an example. In the 5th edition, it has an example on page, let me find it real quick. I don't actually use this handbook very often. I use Writing Matters more. But in a Writer's Resource, that's on 331, so it's not that far away. So 337, 331. And in Successful College Writing for all of my 1301 students, you also have an example beginning on page 6, I think it's 632. Yeah, 632. So that'll give you visuals of how to set that up beyond this video while you're writing. If you have any questions, email me. Hopefully this video is much more helpful in setting up formatting. And I look forward to hearing from you.